All right, guys, today I wanted to talk about why failure is actually your teacher. It's not the end of the world. Like when you fail, it's not a horrible thing. You can actually learn from it, and adversity and failure is actually going to make you a stronger person. So I was reading Outwitting the Devil, and I realized, like through reading it, because it was talking about failure and how important actually failing is. The faster you fail, the more you learn. The faster you fail, the stronger you become. The faster you fail, the sooner you can meet your other self, right? The self that you need to get through all the hard moments. So I was reading it and I realized like every hard moment of my life, every time I failed really bad, every time my back was like not even against the wall, like you know how your back's against the wall, yeah, that's pretty bad. Every time my back went like through the wall, like I was done, like it was beyond worst case scenario. Every time that happened, I became stronger. I became more grateful for all the good moments I had, but I became stronger and I had to really dig in, lock in, and go really, really hard, right? So failure is super, super important. The problem is the school system specifically teaches us that failure is bad, right? So in school, I was a 4.0 student, right? So 4.0 student. So, you know, every time I got an A on the test, it's like, okay, I did good. If I ever failed, I felt like my life was over and I did wrong and it was just horrible and there's nothing I can do, right? And that's what they teach in school. If you fail, it's over, like it's done. When in reality, like in real life, you learn from failure. I remember working on the gym floor, right? And since I was like I was good at school, I was horrible at socializing. I was like an introvert, right? Like an actual introvert, not people saying they're introvert and they could talk, right? I had to get to this point where I could even talk to a camera, to be honest, but I was a introvert. So like once I started, you know, working at the gym, the first gym I worked at, I sucked, right? I was skinny. I couldn't really talk to people. I didn't have a lot of clients, right? The second gym I worked at, I gained some muscle, gained some confidence, and honestly, I got better at selling by literally every single day I went out on that floor, right? Because I remember my gym manager, he sat me down and he was like, listen, at this gym, it was 24-hour fitness. They're like, at this gym, we don't give you a lot of clients. We may give you like 1 or 2, you know, maybe 1 or 2 a month. You got to go out there and get your own clients. You know, he was like, you got to grind. You got to go out there and grind. And I was like, what do I do? He's like, go talk to people. So I remember every single day I would show up to the floor, and because if you don't sign up a client, then every time you train a client, you would get like, I think it was like back then like 20 an hour. But if you weren't training the client, you were getting like $4 an hour, some shit like that. Kind of like the server wages, right? Or it's like $8 an hour, I think, something like that. So if you're on the clock, you're only getting $8 an hour. But if you're training someone, you're getting like 20. So ideally, you want it to be in the gym training as many people as possible. So anyways, I would go out on the floor and I would go to people and be like, hey, I'm a personal trainer. What are your goals? And people would be like, what the fuck? And I did that probably like 100 times to 100 different people before I realized like, hey, this is not working, right? And obviously my manager told me like kind of how to talk to people, but it's not until you actually get out there that you start to have to, like when you get out there, you like panic and you just say like, hey, I'm a personal trainer. So it took a lot of reps. It took repetition before I got way smoother with it. I would end up going to people and be like, hey man, I see you're doing pull-ups. Like, you know, are you trying to grow your back or what are your goals, man? And they'd be like, oh, well, yeah, I need help with these pull-ups because I don't think I'm doing them right. I'm like, yeah, let me show you how to do them. And I just showed him how to do it. And he was like, yeah, appreciate it, man. And I'd be like, yeah, cool. Then I would walk away and then he'd be like, hold on, man. Are you a personal trainer here? I'd be like, yeah. And then I would start to get clients like that. So smoother interactions. But I wouldn't learn that if I didn't go through those hundreds of failure, literally going up to hundreds of people and just failing. And that took me out of my comfort zone, right? That took me way out of my comfort zone because I had to like go out on the floor and literally just talk to random strangers 24/7. And I never talked to random strangers in school. I didn't even talk in school. So this was like a huge thing for me. It was like life changing, right? So it was like one of the hardest things I did in my like the early part of my life, right? Because for an introvert to go out there and talk to people, it was crazy, right? But what I learned is the easiest way to literally learn anything is through repetition, right? It's literally through repetition. Like failing and failing and failing, you're gonna learn from those failures. Like every time I failed, I was like, I did this wrong, let me try this. You know what I mean? But if I didn't put in those reps or I let that one failure hold me back, then I would never become the top salesman in the gym, right? I would never make it anywhere. That's the same way it is for fitness, right? The only way I got to I accomplished some of my fitness goals year by year is because of a lot of failure. Like, I know you guys see like the results and stuff and you're like, oh, cool, that's results. Oh, you have good genetics. No, I used to have bad genetics, quote unquote bad genetics. People used to be like, yeah, what the fuck, man? You shouldn't be in the gym. Like, oh, I remember, I'll never forget actually. But this is like, I consider my life an isekai, right? So this is like before, this was like when I was 18. So I was doing weightlifting. I was super skinny because I had gastritis and I literally couldn't digest any food. So I was like 147 or 149 at 6'1". Right. So I was warming up for weightlifting and I had like weightlifting shoes because I saved up all my money and bought some. And then like I remember like there was a group of dudes, they're like, it's always the lame people or the skinny people who suck who always have the nicest shoes. Yeah, man. They were saying like super loud. They're just like roasting me the entire time I was warming up. And I was like, yep, I'll remember this moment, man. I'll remember this moment when I'm, swollen at my goal. But hey, it is what it is. Like I knew that eventually I'll get to my goals, but I'll just never forget those, like, those moments, those hard moments that I went through. Cause honestly, like the hard moments do make you stronger, right? Because once, if this is your rock bottom, it's like, yo, I could only go up from here. Right. And then 2 years later, your new rock bottom is down here. It's like, yo, everything in between here too, I'm still grateful for, and I'm going up. Like once you hit rock bottom, you have no other option but to go up. Like if you're on an elevator, right, you're on the 4th floor, and then you go all the way down to the basement, because some hotels have basements, right? I was in a hotel in Canada, they had like a basement where they had like a pool and shit. But anyways, like you go to the basement, where can you go from there? You can't go down, you're not going to hell, right? You're not going to go down. You can only go up from there. And that's how it is when you hit rock bottom. And that's what failure does, right? Now, you have two options. You can, when you get down on the elevator, you can press floor 1, right? You can take the stairs, you can press floor 10, you can try to get up there, right? Or you can just stay at the basement, you can just stay at the bottom, right? It's up to you. But like the more you fail, the more you learn. Like if you look at any of these stories, like Andrew Carnegie, Elon Musk, like Jeff Bezos, they all struggled and failed most of their lives. And now we're just seeing kind of the back end of their life. And we're like, oh, wow, they've always been rich. Like, no, they literally died like for like 20 years, 20, 30 years. Like from 20 to like 50, most of them were just like not really making any money, like sleeping in their offices. And then by the time they got to like 40s, like they got to their 40s, their company was worth a lot, but they were like paying off all the debt and like, still not paying themselves as much as they should because they saw the vision, right? They saw the long-term vision. And I just wanted you guys to know that like failure, don't fear failure. I know like in the school system, if you fail, like it's over. But in real life, when you fail, that's when your journey begins. Like failure is your teacher. Like as soon as you fail, it's like, oh, okay, now I understand this, now I understand that. Like same thing with influencing for me. Like the way I got like the influencing deals that I got is because I failed first, right? I messed up so many times. It's like, I know what not to do. I know what not to say. And the reason I could even train my clients is because I've trained so many people, like thousands and thousands of people, and I've made thousands and thousands of mistakes myself, in a calorie deficit. That's why I like when I make these videos about like nutrition and stuff like that. The only reason I know any of this stuff is because I've literally made every fucking mistake there is, like literally dirty bulking, binging, freaking fad dieting. Like I've done all of that. That's the only reason I talk about it. If I never did any of that, I'd be like, I have no idea. And I would just kind of like read off of a script or some shit. But I literally went through all of it. So I know exactly, like even overcoming gastritis, like I've went through that myself. Like, so I understand the ins and outs of that. And yeah. And I wanted to read a passage from this book. Let me see. Where is it? Damn, where is it? It's right. All right. Yeah, here we go. It says adversity forces an individual to test his mental, physical, and spiritual strength. It thus brings him face to face with his weaknesses and gives him the opportunity to bridge them. Adversity forces one to seek ways and means to definite ends by meditation and introspective thoughts. So basically, when you fail and you face adversity, you have to look inside, internally, and you have to, that's why they say like adversity is character building, because you have to really look inside and be like, hey, like, am I someone who's going to push past this? Am I going to get stronger? Am I going to continue to do the non-negotiables? How much integrity do I really have? Like those are the moments that build self-esteem and self-confidence when you're at the bottom, right? That's what really builds self-confidence. Anyways, I just wanted to make this video to say, listen guys, stop being so scared of failure. Stop fearing it, right? Every time you fail, stop thinking it's over. That's when your journey begins, and literally learn from every single failure, right? Because there's only two things, right? There's not failure and there's not success. There's success or learning.